Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a presentation for e-estate, tokenized real estate. And it's Thursday evening, 8 p.m. in the UK. I do this or similar presentation every Thursday evening, 8 p.m. UK time. You're welcome to come back and look some more or bring some friends. The more the merrier. So I'm going to run through today a very brief overview of e-estate, what it means to you in terms of your ability to make income or make some money with tokenized real estate, how simple the whole process is. And what I thought I'd do is I wasn't going to go through a whole presentation about the comparison between e-estate and a traditional real estate business, but I'm just going to pull up a couple of slides and we'll just touch on a couple of things. Then I'll go into the standard presentation work for e-estate. Before I get started, though, I want to apologise. My throat and well, just me in general. I don't normally get bugs or anything, but right now I've got a pretty good one. So I've been coughing and spluttering a little bit today. If my throat goes, I apologise in advance, but I'll do the best I can. Excuse me. So let's have a quick look at a PowerPoint presentation to compare traditional real estate with what we're doing with e-estate. Okay, so this is just a few slides that I've put together previously, and just skip through a lot of this. But with a traditional real estate business, there's nobody else there to help you if you decide you're going to make some money in real estate. It's up to you to develop your own portfolio of whether it's properties or whether you're looking for clients. And the problem is you've only got a certain amount of time in your day. You can't work more than 24 hours a day. And in reality, if you work more than about 18 hours a day for a long period of time, you get very ill. So there's a limit to how much time you can put in. You need to do so much background work to make your contacts with the real estate agents, with developers, with mortgage advisors, with solicitors who handle conveyancing, or attorneys in the United States. So you need to have all these contacts, and then you need those contacts to be able to put you in touch with people that are developing the properties. And then you need to know how to go and check out the properties to make sure that it suits what you need. Then strike up a deal with that developer. And then you have to go and find some customers. So again, you need back in touch with people. Where do you find all these contacts? When you join networking groups to go to your local network entrepreneurs venue and so on. So all of this takes time and money and effort before you've ever acquired a property, before you've ever sold a property. And it's a lot of work. I did that. I set it all up once. It took me probably about 2 years of hard work to get the business up and running. You also need to worry about your tenants. If you're not selling a property to a client, then you need to worry about where the tenants are going to come from, how do you get them, and so on. So there's just so much stuff stacked against you as you're developing your own portfolio. And then when you have got a tenant in and you're making an income from that property, you've got to cover all these costs, all the mortgage payments, service charges, everything. And it's all very good when you have a tenant in place, but once in a while the tenant leaves, and sometimes it can be 2 or 3 months before you get a new tenant put in there. And so the income stops, but the bills don't, and that can really set you back. You can have a really successful year with a property, and you have voids for a month or 2 months, and it just wipes out all of the profit you've made for the rest of the year. And if you're going to do this properly, you need staff and all sorts of things, office expenses, printing and heating, lighting for your staff, and so on. You need regular inspections on your properties, checking in, checking out, repairs and renovations. If you don't do it yourself, it'll cost you'll have to pay a local electrician $80, $90, just to go and change a light bulb if your properties aren't local to you. And where do you get your clients? Well, the same thing. You need time and effort. You've got to find develop contacts. You got to market your properties. You need the skill to identify what's a good deal and what isn't. And with e-estates, I'm not going to talk very much about, with e-estates, you can either be a buyer or an agent. I'm going to talk about what the benefit is to being a buyer. You can register as a buyer in 2 minutes. You can buy your first property 2 minutes later. The deal's all provided for you. You don't have to go source them or anything at all. You just decide how much of that deal do you want. You don't need a large capital. You can get started in the estates for $100. Of course, if you want to make significant income, then you need to put more money in than that. But you can get started for $100, which is pretty good. You can't do that in a traditional real estate business. You don't need to worry about mortgages, legal fees. You don't need to worry about finding tenants, and you don't have to worry about void periods when the bills keeps coming in. And you get a fixed yield income. It's all yours. You don't have to pay any costs out of that yield income once you receive it. So so that's as a buyer. As an agent, you can register some of your friends, neighbors, work colleagues as clients. It takes about 2 minutes for them to register as a buyer, so then they are one of your clients. Now, it takes you a bit longer to become an agent, probably maybe an hour or so, maybe less. You need to fill in some forms, you need to register, you need to pay some money. We'll come on to that in a minute. But once you're an agent, e-estate markets to your company, to your clients. You don't need to do that. You don't need the skill of negotiation. There are no legal fees to pay. And there's an active phase of profits, so return your capital. I'm going to go through this in a bit more depth in a minute. So I'm just showing you that this amount of work is very, very little if you're involved in e-estate compared to if you're running your own traditional real estate business. Okay, so I'm going to skip through to the end of this and then we'll go and have a look at some other stuff for e-estates. So this is the e-estate back office, or will be when it gets you there. So this is the e-estate back office, and you can see there's a few areas. One is the dashboard, one is just for buyers, one is just for agents. Then there's a rewards tab and an information tab. It really is a very simple website, but it has absolutely everything you need. So if you want to be a buyer, you'll focus mainly on this page, and there are three parts to it. One is the real estate that you have available to you. The other is the e-wallet where your money lives until you either withdraw it or buy some more property. And then a subset of the real estate is my assets, where the properties you purchased, that's where they all get registered. So let's have a quick look at the real estate, and we'll have a look at what type of real estate you can get involved with. Now here it says buyer level 1, just below the image there, it says buyer level 1, and you'll see that when I go through the presentation in a minute, what you can get is buyer level 1. So this is an apartment in Miami. So you can click through here to all the different property types. We'll get back to the Miami apartments first. But you can also select them from this drop-down list, exactly the same thing. Then it tells you here your minimum investment amount, which is for these apartments is $10. And you're going to make 4 cents a day, which is 88 cents a month, which is $10 a year. So you double your money in a year. So you break even in about 9 months. You can see how many were purchased and so on. Okay, and if you want to take this property, then you just click on buy property and get the process started. Here you can see the profit that property has made for the last 5, 6, 7 days. Okay, just move on quickly to another one. This is an ordinary apartment. This is always available. $117 to get started, and you make $149 a year. So it takes you 8 months to break even. Now, if you're an investor in real estate, this is what you're interested in. How long is it going to take till I get my money back? And 8 months for a real estate deal is really, really, really good. Again, you've got all that information, and let's just have another look at a couple more. The lake house, minimum investment 250. You make 284 per year. And let's move on to this one. There is a tourism property. I don't know how else to describe it. We call it tourism, but you can invest in this. The minimum is 3,120, and you make that money back in 7 months. Okay, so you're going to make $4,758 per year. Now, what this means is that if you keep this property in this position for 18 months, you're going to make almost 3 times your money back. And then we settle into a passive period of ongoing payments. And we'll cover that in the information in a minute. So this is where you find the different real estates we've got available. You can take as many as you want, as much as you want. You haven't got to stick with the minimum amount. If I wanted to, I could say, well, I want $10,000 of that. And the calculator here will tell me how much I'm going to make per day, per month, per year. Okay, so as long as you invest above the minimum amount, then that's all good. Going through the process is very, very simple. You click on buy property, and then you decide where you're going to pay the money from. If you've got it in your e-wallet, then you can use that. Otherwise, you can deposit directly into this deal, not into your e-wallet, directly into this deal, any one of these coins. I haven't counted them, but there's probably about 40 or so different coins, crypto coins that you can use. There's a little feature here called auto capitalization, and what that means is if you were to select that as you're purchasing the property, you will buy more and more and more of the property. Your daily profit will actually buy you a little bit more of that property every single day. So by the time the 18 months period is up, you would own about almost 4 times as much of that property as you started out with. Okay, if you want to be able to take the money back every time and every day, maybe withdraw it every day, decide to buy different properties and so on, then don't select enable auto capitalization. So let's get rid of that and we'll move on to the presentation. The information about an agent. So if you click on the agent, then you have an agent panel that tells you the state of your agency business, a list of your clients, and here's a landing page that you can get this landing page information out to people. You copy the link there, send it to people, and they'll be able to go to your landing page, read lots of information about you and about e-estate. And if they decide to join, then they will join as one of your buyers or one of your agents. Now you have the option to join as a buyer and or an agent. And I recommend that if you are thinking of introducing other people to your e-estate business, become an agent first, and then once you're an agent, buy properties through your own business rather than give the commissions away to somebody else. So become an agent first, then become a buyer. The difference is that a buyer, you can do that for free. An agent costs you a subscription every month of $9 a month or $90 for the year. But if you're thinking of introducing other people to this, then become an agent first, then buy your own properties. If we look in the info hub here, we have a knowledge base, and in the knowledge base we have FAQs. This big green button here, FAQs, and FAQs we have for general, for buyers, and for agents. And we also have documentation. So there's everything you need to know, literally everything you need to know about e-estates is available in the documentation. You can also connect up on social media to any of these platforms. E-estate has a presence in all of those different platforms, and you get information all day, every day, to keep you up to date with different deals that are happening, different promotions and so on, the tips, techniques, the way to do things and so on. And there's also a video hub, and I haven't showed the video this time. I very often start this presentation with this video, and it's in many different languages. It's about a 4-minute long presentation, and I like to send that link to my friends and say, look, I'm getting involved in real estate and tokenized real estate on the internet, and you need to have a look at this video. And they watch the video, and generally they come back to me and say, it sounds good, but what is it? And I say, I knew you'd be interested. And then I get with them and explain to them what e-estate is and what I'm doing, and try and find out what they want to do. So let's go back to the information side. So the documentation side. I've selected a couple of these bits of documentation. One is the legal entity identifier certificate. I'm going to pull that up on the screen in a minute, because a lot of people say, well, how do we know the company is who they say they are? Well, there's so much information in here that you can go away and research and check it out for yourself. But I'm going to pull up the legal entity identifier certificate so that we can do that together for a few seconds. The other two documents I've pulled up is the the buyer presentation and the agent presentation. So I'm going to spend 10 minutes on each of those, see if we can get them done in 10 minutes. I don't like these presentations or yeah, I don't like this type of call to drag on for hours at a time. I think by the time I get to about 35 minutes, you'll have had enough of me. So that's what I'm going to do. Try and keep it short, sweet, and to the point, because you can have access to all this information yourself. All you got to do is register, and you've got access to all of it. So let's look at the buyer presentation. So we're saying here it's a new era of digital real estate solutions. Make it big enough for everyone to see. New era of digital real estate solutions. And there's some information there and a QR code. So what is it? It's a platform designed to make real estate investments accessible, transparent, and secure for individuals worldwide. And I went through with the my PowerPoint slides, I went through a lot of the drawbacks with trying to get a real estate business off the ground. And part of the problem is you can only do a certain amount within your own geographical reach. You can't go and buy properties in other countries. If you do, if you try doing that, you'll find that actually you run into more problems than you can possibly imagine. The regulations are all different. The people that you need to be in contact with are all different people. They all do different things in different ways. With estate, that's not the case. We can buy a property, we can buy a villa in Florida, we can buy an apartment in Dubai, we can buy a business development in Australia. Okay, and it's very, very simple to do. It takes you a few minutes. I normally do it in the morning when I'm having my morning coffee, and I just buy myself another slice of property. Very quick and easy to do. So it's tokenized ownership, and tokenized ownership simply means, you see, tokenization of assets, of things, is not new. You can take anything in the real world and you can apply tokenization to it, and then get funding for those tokens. With real estate, the first real estate that was tokenized was about 10 years ago. It was in 2015, and it's it's not new. On the internet, anything that's more than 2 years old is well established. So tokenized real estate is well established. So what that means is you don't have to buy the whole skyscraper or the whole villa or the whole apartment. You can just buy as much of it as you can afford to buy. And you get a legally binding document to say you own this much of a share of that property. It's all done on the blockchain. When you buy a property, you'll be able to see the transactions on the blockchain. The contract that you sign is stored on the blockchain. Although I also download them to my own storage system. I've got a copy of every single contract I've signed. And I'm not going to suggest you do the same, but just to let you know that that's the smart thing to do. Global reach, you can invest in properties around the globe, and you get real-time analytics and expert insights so that you can make good quality decisions. And believe me, that information is invaluable in real estate. If you've got to choose between 3 or 4 different locations, 3 or 4 different types of property, it can take you days to go through it all and compare them. Whereas here is quick and simple, literally 10 minutes, and you can compare all the different properties that we have available to you. So there are very low entry barriers. You saw just now you can actually get involved for $10. I normally tell people $100 or $117. Because you're buying tokens, you're not buying the real estate, although the value of the token is tied inextricably to the value of the property. Portfolio diversification, you don't have to specialize just in apartments or just in houses or just in villas. Okay, you can have a bit of everything if you want to. Leverage blockchain technology for secure, transparent, and efficient transactions that happens literally in a few seconds. And it's all perfectly visible on the blockchain. Okay, and there's global reach. We've mentioned that a couple of times. Okay, moving on. So I said when we were looking at the property just now, I said look at the different buyer levels. So when you're buyer level 1, you can buy apartments, and all this information is what you would have seen on the calculator that I was showing you just now. Okay, so you have all of that information available to you before you ever make your decision. You can buy these apartments. And you can buy houses, you can buy villas, tourism, and commercial. They're all buyer level one. As soon as you sign up, you're buyer level one. Then you need to do a few things. You need to qualify a little bit to become buyer level two. It's not necessarily difficult, but you do need to be a little bit more sophisticated if you're going to be investing $25,000 into a business, a business deal. So, it's not something that somebody can just walk in off the street and evaluate that and say, yes, I'm comfortable. So you need to build up your knowledge, build up your confidence, understand a little bit about what you're talking about, so that you can then get access to these level two businesses, level two property deals. And similarly, you get a bit more sophisticated. You can get in at level three, and again, level four and level five. So you can't just walk in off the street and say, I want to spend $250,000 on a business development in Australia. Okay, it's not good for anyone if that were to happen. You need to build up your knowledge and expertise before you get to that point. So the profit calculation, you've seen some of the profits twice now, once on the slide above and once on the website just now. And it tells you what the minimum investment is, what the daily returns are. They're all based on a 5-day week, 22 days a month, 132 days in 6 months, 396 days in 18 months. So let's talk about this phase two. What happens when you buy a property or a share of a property? You receive income every single day for the first 18 months, and that is an accelerated rate of return. With traditional real estate, you get a smaller return, but you get it over a longer period of time. And of course, then you've got all those other problems like voids and regulations and repairs and tenants to find, and so all that other stuff that comes out of your yield, that comes out of your profit. So what we do with the estate is you get a bigger chunk of that profit up front for the first 18 months, and then it drops into something called a passive phase at the 18-month point, and so you continue then to receive 10% per year. So if you put $10,000 into a property deal today, in 18 months' time, you start getting back $1,000 per year. Okay, so that's pretty good. But the most important thing, or the most beneficial thing, in my opinion, is you get this accelerated earning phase for the first 18 months. With some of these deals, you'll get your money back 3 times in the first 18 months. So if you put 10,000 in, at the end of the end of the 18-month period, you've actually made $30,000 back. Now that first $1,000 is a repayment of your investment. Okay, you don't sort of get that back magically later. That's all part of the profits you get paid. So you can see that when you do that, you can actually buy more property. You get profits in from your existing profits, and you can buy more properties. I think I said that right. It doesn't matter. I'm sure you get the idea. So I don't think we need the additional explanations. I've kind of just gone through that. So everything's on the Binance Smart Chain. It's a smart contract. You can see every single property you've purchased. You get, you can actually see the smart contract on the smart chain. There's regulatory benefits to being involved in e-estate because where you live, you probably have to pay tax on any profits you make. In Panama, you don't. There's an asset-backed token, and I've got an inherent, not dislike, but an inherent mistrust of companies that deal with their own token. But I like this, and I'll tell you why. Because if I do other things, buy and sell things on through the blockchain, I like to be paid in predominantly Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin. But if we were to try and sell these properties using Bitcoin, it wouldn't work because we have no control over the price of Bitcoin. So we get hold of a property and we say it's worth this much Bitcoin, and then we sell a few of those shares of the property, and all of a sudden the price of Bitcoin changes. And so then you're paying more for your share of the apartment than I paid for mine, or you're paying less. Okay, and so that doesn't kind of work. So what they do is they say, let's take this property, we'll divide it up into our own token, which is EST. Each EST token is worth $10. So therefore, when you buy your share and I buy my share, we're paying exactly the same amount for that same property. On a different property, it might be a different, it might be valued differently. That's fine. But on the same property, it's only fair that you and I pay the same for our share of the property. So that's why we have an asset-backed token. And the asset, the EST, is directly linked back to the value of the property, not back to the value of dollars or Bitcoin or anything else. It's the value of the property, which is, if you think about it, that's kind of smart. And it's really the only way that we can make this work. And then when you purchase a contract, when you purchase a part of the property, you sign a contract. Part of the process when you go through to buy a contract, buy a property, you literally have to sign on the screen with your finger to finalize that deal. Okay, there's also something that a lot of people like. It's a bit of fun. Different things you do, you get awarded ETK, which is again, it's one of their own internal tokens, any internal tokens. But when you have 100 ETK, then you get to spin the money wheel. And so you can win anything from nothing, which isn't really winning. That's just, you get nothing, all the way up to $1,000. Typically, I get around about $1 every time I spin the wheel. Typically, my wife gets between 5, 10. She's not got up to 25 yet, but she's had several $10. So that's like free money. You do things you were going to do anyway in order to grow your e-estate business. So you would have done that anyway. Well, now you got a reward, and sometimes it gets converted into cash, which is good. I like it. So the team partners for e-estates, or with e-estates, we have e-estate itself, the company, and it was put together by Brandon Stevenson, the founder and CEO of the Association of Real Digital Realtors, and Mike Hamilton, I believe is the owner of Eli Property Group Incorporated. Okay, so the two of them got together and said, look, if we've got this great idea, if we do this and we do this, then we can set up this thing called e-estate. And they got together and worked it out. And that's what we have. That's why we have e-estate, because these two guys, very, very clever. They know their stuff. They've been around a long, long time. And they're available for you to communicate with through Telegram and so on. And we'll get to meet them. I may talk to you about the Miami Summit a little bit later. If not, look up the Miami Summit. Get along there if you can. Get to meet these guys. It'll be a great experience for everyone. And so here's the triangle, the partnership triangle between e-estates, Eli Property Group Incorporated, and ARDR. So how do you get on board as a buyer? Well, you get registered and you verify. There's a small amount of verification, KYC and AML checks, anti-money laundering, because it's a real business. It's not something that's just sort of happening in a back room somewhere. There's regulators are going to be looking at this sort of information, so it's got to be done properly. Then you choose your investment level, $100, $1,000, $10,000, whatever it is, and then you identify the property and in the process of then you fund your account. And then you purchase your property, invest and track returns. Okay, so this acquire tokens is something you do before you can get them into your account. You can't fund your account if you don't have tokens. For example, Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ethereum. Okay, so you need to get that into your account, and then you can purchase the properties and just see every single day your earning profit and what that does to your portfolio. Got some great security features on the whole platform. It's all based on the blockchain, which, as you know, is immutable. Once something's written on the blockchain, it can't be changed. There's smart contracts, and the smart contracts get audited. They undergo regular security audits. There's the KYC and AML compliance, which I explained just now is kind of a legal thing. For legitimate companies, it's a legal thing. And data encryption and secure storage, which is to do with the platform, the information handling, and so on, the storage and access and disposal of data. So that's all done, top high level, very high level security. So the registration and jurisdiction is in Panama, so you don't have to worry about registration of your business. The compliance you don't have to worry about because it's all done with KYC and AML through e-estate, and the tokenized assets. they may be subject to evolving securities laws in certain jurisdictions. We can't advise on that. We don't know what your local, your government where you live, we don't know what they're going to do in the future, so we can't possibly make any comment about anything secured or protected or anything like that. It just whatever your government does is what happens, and of course that's true of all legitimate businesses. There's also market volatility. So real estate and crypto markets can impact token prices. Regulatory changes, we don't know what law. I mean, we've just had a big update to the Bitcoin blockchain, and that did affect some businesses. We can't say that it won't affect us because we don't know what those changes are going to be. And regulatory changes as well. And the smart contract vulnerabilities, cyber threats, or platform downtime may lead to losses. So that's just the way the world that we live in. You want to buy a property now before the price goes up, and you can't do it because your internet's down or something like that. Well, that's just the way the world works. So this is it in short. Start investing, contact us, learn more. So that's as a buyer, that's how you get involved as a buyer. So I'm going to talk now very quickly again about becoming an agent. So what is a real estate agent? A digital real estate agent connects buyers to tokenized properties through eEstate's platform. Really quite straightforward. There's nothing more complicated than that about it. So if you want to become an agent, then you have digital experience, expertise. You need to have, or you have flexible scheduling. You can do this any time of the day or night, and you have unlimited earning potential. Now it's different with an agent because with a buyer, it was free. With a licensed digital agent, you pay a membership fee. You make, in fact, it's not quite true. You make an application, and part of the application, as you go through the process, you pay your membership fee, which is $9 a month or $90 a year. Then you sign a contract, and then you can access the platform as an agent. Okay, so that's kind of, again, very, very straightforward. You've got 4 different main sources of income. One is a deal commission. When you or one of your buyers purchases a property, you make some commission from that. We'll cover how much that is in a minute. Then as they're making profit every day, you're receiving a share of profit, not from them, it's from the company. But the company makes more profit than they need to pay your buyer, and so they make enough for you to have a little slice of the pie as well. That's your reward for bringing those people in and helping them get set up and running. There's an agent bonus. When you build your business and you get to certain levels, then you can receive a bonus, effectively. Yeah, but it is a bonus. And you can also earn e-tokens. These are the ones where you can use them within the platform, or it says you can exchange them for other benefits. Not absolutely certain what that means, but yeah, the e-tokens are what you need for spinning the money wheel. So what's your commission structure? You've got these 2 parts to start with. One is the deal commission and one is the profit commission. So when you introduce people on your first level, they purchase a share of a property and you receive a commission based on 6% of whatever they've invested. On your second level, it's 2%. On the third level, it's 2%, and so on, all the way down to 8 levels. Now, the idea is of building like this is that there will be a lot more people on your 8th level. If everybody only introduces 2 people, there will be a lot more people on your 8th level than there are on your first level. So that 1% don't be put off by that. That can still be a very large, healthy income. With the profit commissions, you receive a share of the profits from the deals. On your first level, 5%, second level, 2%, third level, 2%, okay, down to five levels. So here we have the agent. So that's the 2 for the first 2, the deal commissions and the profit commission. Moving on to agent levels and bonuses. There are 10 different levels, and it's just based solely on the turnover of your business. That's you and all of your buyers, again, all of your agents. When you have a turnover of $500, you get awarded 100 ETK. When you've got a turnover of $3,000, you get not only ETK, but you also get dollars. All the way down then to level 10, You've achieved level 10 when you have $1 million worth of turnover in your business, which sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. When you look at some of these deals, it really isn't a lot. You'll receive 10,000 ETK and $10,000. So that's a nice little career progression, as well as all the money you're making from the deals and the commissions and the bonuses and your own investments. Then you get an extra $10,000 for doing that. So there's a revenue share on multiple levels. Your personal investments, you receive 100% of the revenue share. On the first level down, you receive 80% of that revenue share, and on the second level down, you get 40%, and so on, all the way down to 8 levels. We talked about that just up here. Okay, and then we talk about the money wheel. I'm not going to go into that any more than I've done. Then how do you become an agent? Well, you join eEstate now, you become a certified digital agent, and you start earning today. Create your account, enroll in our licensing program. When you've passed the requirements, then you actually get given a certificate to show that you are a digital agent. Okay, so it's it's just something you can print off, you can give to people, put it on the wall. It just proves that you know what you're doing. It's not you've had to do some work to achieve that. So after signing up, you'll receive an email with a list of your next steps and contact information. You'll be able to gain access to the community through the social media links that I told you about just now. You'll have access to the knowledge base and webinars. And if you like this presentation, brilliant. Come back again next Wednesday. If you thought that you want to see something a bit more dynamic or a little bit more something, some other presenter, great. We do presentations every night of the week, so you're invited to all of those. Go along, and some of those other presenters are they're just crazy excited. They're just great to listen to. I learn so much when I listen to them. And then, of course, you've got 24/7 support. Back in the website, you click on help, and that sets you up a link directly to your own support person. So you've got a direct channel between yourself and a support person in the company. It is very, very, very good. So that's how to become an agent. Now, the last thing I said I was going to do, and I'm kind of out of time now, I'm just going to quickly show you this legal entity identifier certificate for eEstate Group Incorporated. So this was available through the website. I just downloaded it as a PDF document, and there's everything you could possibly need to know about this. And you can go check out in Panama that this company is registered. Okay, there's a QR code there you can scan, or you can click here. Okay, you can verify it. It's a real company, legitimate company, registered in Panama, and so some people like to know that information. So here we are back to the website, and I said earlier that if you click on the help center, you link up to a support person directly in Telegram, which is very, very useful. I get information back from that from Emily on really, really quickly, a few minutes, once in a while, a little bit longer, but not often. So that's it, guys. I'm going to shut down the share now. We're going to come back to the room. And I'm going to thank you all for being here with me. I appreciate your time and your effort being here. Hopefully you found that useful. Hopefully you will be interested in eEstate and see how that you can make a lot more money from eEstate than you ever could through a traditional business, traditional real estate business, and do it with a lot less hassle, a lot more security, just a much better lifestyle way of doing it. Sat at home in your pajamas rather than out on the road 60 hours a week trying to make contacts and do deals and chase up finances and just all the other stuff that goes with it. I'm excited about eEstate. I wish I'd done this years ago. It wasn't available years ago, but I wish it was, and I wish I'd done it then, because the real estate industry in general is a great place to be, to make a lot of money. But this really just brings everything into your grasp, into your sphere of influence, if you like. You can get out there and you can take as much or as little as you want. You don't have to, from day one, got to be able to make enough money to pay all your bills and to because you've had to give up your job to do it. You've got to pay your bills and pay your mortgage and this sort of thing. You don't have to do that. You can start small with a few hundred or a few thousand and build up over a period of time and make a significant, very, very significant income, which can be a life-changing amount of money for you going into the future. You won't get rich quick by doing this, but you will get rich, and it won't take as long as you think it will. So it's not a get rich quick scheme, but it is something that you can use to make a lot of money over a reasonably short period of time, 5 years or so, I would guess. Depends how much you're prepared to put in, of course. Okay, guys, so that's it. Thank you for your attention. I do appreciate it. I'm going to post this video on YouTube. You'll be able to watch it again. It'll get posted in the Telegram group for eEstate. So you'll be able to watch it again, refer back to it if you need to. If you send it to people, make sure they've got your referral link. I won't post my referral link in this video, but you can do that. And I will see you all again on Wednesday evening next week, same time, same channel, 8 p.m. UK, sorry, Thursday evening, 8 p.m. And I'll see you all then. God bless.